on identification with this body. All problems are body problems, all of them. And we walk around believing that we're separate, isolated individuals in this body, walking around, getting in a car, driving around. It's the body that feels separate. It's because we identify with this. It's the body that feels separate. You know, feelings will come up in the body, different energies will come up in the body, which we identify with and feel separate from others. If there wasn't a body at all, there'd be no notion of being separate. Like at all, just no notion of being separate. Now that's really interesting. Because if you scan through the body, just, you know, even if you looked at your right foot, okay, does your right foot have any notion whatsoever of being separate from anything? Does your right leg have any notion at all of being separate from anything? Both your legs. Your legs walking around going, oh God, this is a really scary place, I'm separate from everything. Torso. Is it walking around saying, oh, this is a really scary place, I'm separate from everything? Your arms. Ears, nose, skin all over the whole body. Is it actually the body that's saying, I feel separate from everything? It's a thought. It's just a thought that says, I'm separate. And because we also have a thought, I am the body, then what happens is anxiety is experienced in the body. There's this energy that gets experienced in the body, which we then identify, we then, what we attach to that is, the reason I'm experiencing that is because I'm separate, I'm an individual, I'm isolated, I need to protect myself. You know, these people in my life are not those people in my life. And we go here and not there. You know, all relating to the body. It's the only thing that logically we could say could possibly be separate. But the body doesn't say that at all. The body doesn't feel separate. It's a thought. Just a thought. Our whole identity is based on only a thought. That meanness, you know, that, see. And the reason it feels so strong and so solid, and why that sense of me-ness feels so real and tangible and in the body, is because what it's identifying with is the here nowness, is the presence, identifies with that and calls that mine, like my car, my coat, my hat, my whatever, my presence, my sense of presence, you know. And that's saying my, or claiming ownership of anything, is a thought. Just like plain and absolutely plain and simply a thought. And if the me identity, again, a thought. Because if there was absolutely blank space here, where we think thoughts happen, where we think thoughts happen, right? But if that was just absolutely and completely blank, Bob calls it full stop. If there was no thought going on at all, zero, there'd be no notion of being separate from, there'd be no notion of needing to protect, there'd be no notion of needing to push away. But the primary one is there'd be absolutely no notion of being isolated, separate, an individual. And, you know, if one is believing that I'm separate, I'm isolated, and I'm an individual, of course we're going to feel scared. Of course we're going to feel scared. But it's not, the reality is it's not actually true. It's not true. And as I started off saying, the only thing that could possibly feel isolated or separate is the body. And the body does not say, I feel isolated and separate. It doesn't. It's our idea of who we think we are, what we are, which has just all been conditioned in there, by the way. No one's at fault. We'll just, from 2, whatever age it is, all this conditioning gets piled in there, and then we start to believe our thinking. We start to believe that I'm a separate, isolated individual. And there's a me here and a you there, and this and that, and here and there, and up and down, and hot and cold, and right and wrong. And that's the duality. That's the dualism that gets impregnated into us. Impregnated? Anyway, you know what I mean. Indoctrinated. As we're growing up. And we don't do that. We don't have any choice over that. That just happens. But because everybody else around us is doing the same thing, we have no other reference point. Zero, absolutely zero other reference point. Everyone else thinks they're separate and isolated. Everyone else seems to have a me. Why wouldn't I? Like there's no other reference point. So we just become that. But if you really, really look at it, like really, it's really just a matter of attention, or awareness is another word. You're either going to have all of our attention and all of that awareness, or that attention rather, on what it is that rattles on between our ears, and if we do that, we're in trouble. We're just like totally in trouble. Or that attention could be on looking at trees, looking at the sky, looking at birds, hearing sounds, smells, scents, beautiful, exquisite tastes, sensation, feeling, touch, and we ignore it all. And all that stuff, all those that sensory stuff from the senses, is all happening now, and we ignore it. Why? Because we're so conditioned, and we just habitually, or I like to say that the absolute primary addiction that all human beings have is the addiction to thought. Primary addiction. That's the bottom line. And everyone is just so addicted to thought, we can't put it down. We just can't put it down. And it's not even a matter of putting it down, it's just literally a shift of attention. Until it starts to dawn on us, which is what this awakening is about, that perhaps I'm something other than the stuff that rattles on in my head. Perhaps I'm something else. Perhaps I'm not actually that. So that awareness, like you hear anybody, all the teachers, all the sages, all the so-called gurus, everybody that has awoken to their real nature, every one of them says, you're already that. What you're looking for, you already are. The great joke. What you're looking for, you already are. So it can't be something that I'm going to become. It can't be something that I'm going to find, some new state that I'm going to discover, and I'm going to reside in bliss for the rest of my life. Anyway, like really, So you've got there's like a couple of directions to look here. Really, there's only two. Yeah? You can either look in here and go, I am that, and good luck with that one, because that keeps changing all the time. Jesus, which one am I? No wonder we get so confused. One minute my self-esteem's okay, next minute it's shot to pieces. 1 minute someone loves me, next minute they don't. Or 1 minute I'm in love with someone, the next minute I'm not. Like it just It constantly changes. So, there's two things. You're either one or two things. You're either that rattles on in your head, which, by the way, you have no control over. None. So much for free will. So much for control. So much for thinking that one is in charge of one's life and calling the shots. Because if we were in control of it, I don't know about you, I'd switch it off. It's a friggin' nightmare in there. I would literally just switch it off. Even if it was just for a couple of days. Look, I'm going to have a break. And I would just switch it off, you know, and then I'd switch it back on in a couple of days and go, oh God, here we go, you know. And then just start, suffering from it. So we're either that, which all the teachings say we're not that. We're not that. All of the teachings say we're not that. Every single soldier. So, one or two things. We're either that, or we're this presence, awareness, here-ness, right now-ness. One or the other. Now, you can live without one of them. You can't live without the other one. Which one can't you live without? You can't live without that presence awareness. That's real. That's real. That is here. Can't deny it. Bob says you can't say you're not. You'd have to be to say you're not. You know what I mean? Like, it's real. You've got one thing that's actually real. And you know it. You absolutely know it. So one's real, one's totally fictitious. And we're buying in to that that's fictitious. We're buying into that that's not actually real. It's only thoughts that rattle through here that says, I am separate. And it's referring to the body when it says that. The body's not saying it. The body doesn't feel separate.
What a load of nonsense.
At all. Love you, Tony. See you, buddy. The body doesn't say, I feel separate. It doesn't. The body doesn't feel separate. It's not separate. It's connected by space, for God's sake. Just for a start. It's connected by space. And we ignore space. We think space is a no thing. Yeah? Try and have any existence without space. You need space for things to be. Yet we think it's a no thingness, and it's what connects everything. If we want to talk about this space here, then there's a space like awareness that we have. You know, we can prattle on about that, but that's really just a concept until it's actually fully experienced. What gets us stuck is the identification with that rattles on in here, and it's not who and what we are. It's so not. So you've got a choice. You really got a choice. Well, you seem to have a choice. You seem to have a choice. If you're here, I'm saying you've got a choice. I wouldn't say they're sitting on a tram to a group of people. Either keep identifying with what it is that rattles through your head, or start to understand that there's something more valuable. There's something much more beautiful to be experienced. And just watch the thoughts. Watch them. You're not doing it. Just watch them. And in the watching of them, you start to become aware that there's something aware of them. So I can't be them. There's something that's aware of them. And that's aware of them is this presence, is this here-ness, is this aliveness, this livingness, this life. That's a description. And everything that rattles on in our head, every single solitary thing is absolutely, purely, 100% only a description. It's not the actual. It's not the actual. And the insanity is we take the description to be the real. That's like when Bob says, you know, you can't bathe in the word water. You can't drink the word water. The word fire won't burn your mouth.
It's all a story.
It's just a thought. The whole me construct. the absolute whole me construct is nothing but thoughts. It's nothing but thoughts. And it is a story.
You want to
On
say
the other
something,
hand,
Bill? Oh, okay.
so on the other hand, if you're not good enough, you're stuffed. Sorry.
If one believes that, yeah.
If you believe that,
Like
yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
That's why we become what we think. Because we believe the thoughts. And the thoughts are only ever a description.
And what were you going to say, Bob?
Bob, yes.
Even Shakespeare told us that 200 or 300 years ago. He says, nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the mind, see the way it functions, it's always functioning in dualistic opposites. It's a vibration, a movement of energy. It's either good, bad, pleasant, painful, happy, sad, loving, hating, positive, negative. The boundaries we put upon it are good, bad, or whatever the label we put on it. So we're encaged in a label of words. And every word you've ever spoken or ever likely to speak has been learnt. There's no word you were born with it. There's no word that is yours. Been learned. You're probably picking up new words to this day even. And you've got a dictionary. And forgetting a lot. I'm forgetting a lot of the old words.
Don't cross your legs.
Who
Legs.
cares?
And that's why
That's exactly right. Who is there to keep?
Yeah.
And that's why we can't remember back to our birth. No words. Yet. See, to have a memory is constructed of word, isn't it? Words and images. And the image, and we connect the word to the image that we have, the memory that we have. You know, I can remember my house. Like I can see my house when I was 6 years old. Yeah? But then I attach my house to it. And there, so all of our memory is all constructed of word. And we get back to, you know, some people can remember back further than others, but it's around about 2 years of age. I can remember actually a little bit further back than that, but anyway. But around about 2 years of age, that's when we start to learn word. And when we start to learn word, that's when our memory starts to develop. And then we're able to recall that as we get older. But prior to that, no word. No word, no memory. No word, no me. There's no me there yet.
Do you feel that's why it's such a struggle phase moving into dementia, when that memory does go and those words, language starts to go, depending on what type of you have, and then there's that, you see, because I've worked a lot with people with dementia, you see those moments of bliss, but then you see the struggle.
Yeah.
You know.
What I would hazard to guess, not having experienced dementia or even worked with people that have dementia, is that you witness those moments of you witnessing them seeming to be blissful. I would say there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
I would say there's nothing going on.
Yeah.
Just like the baby when it's 6 months old, lying on its back, kicking its arms and legs in the air, giggling and laughing. It's not laughing at a joke that you've just told it. There's no words. It has no idea. But there's just this love to be. A love to, and that's our primary love. That's our absolute. That's our primary love. Is the love to be. And we will protect that at any cost. At any cost. That's our primary love. And we will protect it. If someone was trying to kill me, they'd have a fight in their hands. Because I'm trying to protect that beingness. Why? Because I love to be. But there's a big difference between loving to be and loving to be something. Huge difference. Because the loving to be something, that something is a concept. It's not real. It's not an actual thing. It's just an idea. But that love to be, we all love to be. Most of the time.
Unless we've gone in the painful story.
Yeah. But even then, when we're in a painful story, the reason we're able to identify with pain or fear or any of that stuff is because below that is a love to be. And I love not feeling pain. Oh God, and I'm feeling pain. My reference, so there's a couple of reference points there. I love not to that. I love not to be that. I love not to experience that. Pain, fear, separation. At the base, it's always love. But we think at the base it's fear. And it's not. It's not. Often in the self-help industry, often they'll go that the base is fear. The reason you're experiencing everything that you're experiencing is fear. And I'm not saying that fear's not there, but there's something underneath that. And it's love. It's total love. In the self-help industry, they go, yeah, there's love, but it's opposite to fear. Duality. It's a split,
But it's a love to be.
It's a love to be. But that love to be, that lovingness that is experienced, that love is nothing like the love that we experience in duality. That love that we experience in duality is always conditional. Always conditional. I'll love you if. It's true. It's true. But that love, that sense of presence, that love that you have, that beingness, that core love, the real love, the love to be, nothing like that love that we experience when we're in love with somebody in duality. It's not that. It's not that, because there's no split in it. So it is completely unconditional, because there's no split in it. It's not based on a condition. It's whole. And that's our nature. That's our core nature. Who and what?
Divine nature.
Who and what we
Divine
are.
nature.
Yes.
Divine nature.
The only thing that we are.
Yeah.
No such thing as a small s self.
No, but
Yeah.
that's
But-
what we call ourselves, our
Correct.
personality self.
Correct.
That's
We
right. When you
identify
believe
with
it, it becomes real, just
Yeah.
like Santa Claus.
And it's not real. It's
Really
just
not
a
real.
bloody thought.
Absolutely not.
It's just a thought. It's just a thought.
Are you having a breakthrough?
Oh dear.
You're right over there, Rich?
He's realised Santa Claus isn't real.
Oh.
And it's almost Christmas time.
Yes.
Yeah, what a
Yeah,
pity.
dear, I'm destroyed.
Oh dear.
No thought, no problem.
Mm.
No thought, no problem.
Bob has something to say.
Just saying, I said before, Shakespeare told us that way back then, Nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. The Saga tells you nothing can trouble you except your own imagination. What's your imagining?
That's why we keep saying that whatever it is that's being said is a pointer only.
It's a pointer.
It just,
Yeah.
the finger is not the moon.
Yeah.
It's just pointing to the moon. The problem is we get stuck on the finger. And then keep going, no, the moon's up there. Yeah, I know.
Stop giving people the finger.
This is rough.
I'm worried about Santa Claus.
Oh,
Does he get anxious about being able to get around and get everybody there?
blast off.
Yeah, ask him.
Yes. Well,
I'll dress up for you. I'll come around as Santa.